I'd have to have Brazil for those sniffer-like tendencies in and around the 6-yard box, you know what I mean? And his movement and obviously his pace off the mark these days. Ray Houghton, I'd have Razor foraging around, sort of busy, you know, busying himself a wee bit. I'd like to play myself, but I can't do a lot of running these days, so I'll have to just sit in there. I'll have Righty, of course. Righty can be that kind of left, inside left, looking to tuck in. And then, of course, really after that, we've only got room for one. And I'm looking for a goalkeeper. I need someone tall. I need someone with big hands and big arms. Someone who's going to fill that goal and who's got a real presence. No, it's not Alvin Martin, it's Porky. The celebrations after we beat Italy were pretty good. Not many teams then go out into the car park and have and go and enjoy a few beers with fans who are cooking up a barbecue in Giant Stadium. So we did that actually. We were due to fly, get straight back to the airport, I think, because then we were flying down for game 2 down to Orlando. But instead of that, Big Jack said, don't worry, the plane will wait. And it did. It waited for us. We went into the car park in the sunshine still with tens of thousands of Irish fans, and they were all from all parts of the world. That was a pretty special day. Tell you what I do remember, it could only have happened to us. We stood in the tunnel. I stood next to Franco Baresi as we walked out. We literally just, both teams were about to walk out, and I'm standing there. I looked across at him just to sort of, you know, pay him respects, say hello, whatever. And he had white, blue and white on. And I looked at all of us and we had white, green and white on. Clearly there's a colour clash going to happen here. The only difference between the two teams was a pair of shorts. And so I looked at them and I said, I think you've got it wrong, mate. I think you've got the wrong kit on. You know, and so he's sort of shaking his head and, no, you know. Sure enough, we had it wrong. We should have been in green, white, green. So our kit man, little Charlie, bless him, Charlie O'Leary, who was about 4'8", and I kid you not, on his high heels, had an absolute panic, almost an heart attack, poor thing, trying to then get us out of this kit into another kit inside 4 minutes. But we did it. It didn't affect us. We managed to get out there and win. And Gazza, I spent a lot of time with, had a lot of fun with. Found him a warm guy, a genuine man, a caring family guy, despite what's said and written. And I loved his company. We got on really well. He's the worst snooker player that ever existed. In fact, he owes me 7 million quid at snooker. We used to play for a fiver a time. He never beat me in 3 years. And I think at the end it was up. We had a board in his house and we used to chalk it up. We started double or nothing, I think, at about 100 quid. And then after that, we started to bet, you know, and then all of a sudden, I think, in the end, it had 7 million on this board when I left Middlesbrough. So, needless to say, I haven't seen a penny of it. Well, I tell you who always give me a nightmare when I played was Carlton Palmer. Isn't it funny? You know, I played against some of the genuine big. I played against Mateus and Rijkaard himself and the Hullits, Van Bastens and all the Brian Robson and Gascoigne who are playing for England, all of these guys. But I always seem to do half decent against the, you know, the so-called superstar. I always seemed to be able to do quite well, whereas people like Carlton, you know, Carlton was an honest lad, then big long legs, and he was always chipping and chatting away, and he used to wind me up and get me going. And I very rarely played well against him. So, Carlton, if you're watching, it was you. How much will I be worth? Hate blowing my own trumpet. I don't know. 10 million quid, is that all? Yeah, they can email in, definitely email us. talksport.net/mag. Ron was always one of those guys that if you were playing well and you won, there's no harm in telling his players. He'd tell you how good you were. He'd tell you if you just destroyed the fella opposite you. He'd tell you if you've embarrassed him this afternoon, you have made him look, you have been, and I think that's great. I think when managers are prepared to go overboard, not publicly, on the coach, on the training ground, just as a group, And he used to say it with a passion, and he meant it. And the flip side, if you didn't perform and he didn't do it, and you'd let him down and you didn't give it, then he could really, really hit you with that. I have drunk with Bono on more than one occasion. Larry, the drummer, Larry Mullins, used to come watch us everywhere, and consequently I went and watched U2 an awful lot, as did a lot of the boys. And of course we managed to get, it's amazing, I've actually been to see a U2 concert, I think it was in Paris, and then after the show there's like a record company party, and then there's the inner sanctum where the band are, you know, and their guests. I was standing in there one night with Jagger, Clapton, Michael Hutchence, Dave Stewart, remember Dave Stewart of the Eurythmics, and a whole lot more. And there's me standing in the corner. And Larry walked in, the drummer walked in, I thought he'd be, you know, look, he's in with his own people. And he comes straight over to me and said, oh, what a great game, you know, talking about a game of football, you know, which was arguably the worst game of football you've ever seen in your life, you know. So, that was nice. I ended up as a computer operator for the London Borough of Greenwich. I don't remember doing a lot of computer operating, but I don't know. It's amazing, I still have this dream, you know, and I kid you not, I must do it 2 or 3 times a year when I still think I'm back at work. I don't know why that is. What's that dream's all about, Mike? It's a strange one, that. How's Porky? Is he really that mad as he seems? That's normally a starter. I'll probably get that one about 3 times a day. I once dressed as a woman. I don't know what that says about me. I dressed as a woman. I went as a bird to one of our Aston Villa fancy dress do's. It's been done before lots of times by lots of lads. I walked in made up to the eyeballs. I wouldn't do it again, because there was a bloke in this pub and the lads were winding him up, and he was half cut, this bloke. And of course I was putting the voice on as well to start with, getting him, winding him up. And then in the end I had to give him a, here mate, do us a favour, clear off. Well, I would probably say good morning, but I love a bit of top of the morning. Guinness. Parky. Only because Terry Wogan had a go at me about the way I was presenting some football one night. And I thought, what's it got to do with him? Has to be Michael Flatley, or someone dashing, young, good looking. Rules Mike out, doesn't it?